Hello, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Ty. This week, I'm very excited. We're diving into something a little more complicated, General Tso's chicken. So, we're going to cook some food with my new wok, and I'm super pumped about it because it's one of my all-time favorite Chinese dishes. So, just to go through some of the things we're going to need, I have about 4 pounds of chicken, actually closer to 5 pounds of chicken. This is boneless, skinless chicken thighs. You're going to want to use dark meat for this. I have some soy sauce, some sesame oil, sesame seeds, sake, rice vinegar, some eggs, ginger, some sugar, baking soda, baking powder, chicken stock, cornstarch, vegetable oil, green onions, and garlic. So our first step is going to be to slice up our chicken. You can leave a little bit of fat on it, but you're going to want to get most of the fat off. And you're going to want to slice it into about 1-inch pieces. So a little bit of fat's okay, but big chunks like this, you're not going to want on there. So, about that big, maybe a little bit bigger than that. If your slices end up smaller than that, it's okay. They're just going to be, smaller bites. All right, so we've got the chicken all chopped up here into our 1-inch pieces. Next, we're going to make the marinade. So we're going to start off with some egg whites. I'm not really positive on how to do this here. There we go. That wasn't too bad. So we're going to use 4 of them. Oh, yeah, we got a little yolk in there. Oh well. Alright, so next we beat the egg whites until they are white and frothy. That looks pretty frothy. Alright, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. One.
3 tablespoons of soy sauce.
You guys are ridiculous. Alright, 3 tablespoons of sake.
1 tablespoon.
I forgot to mention.
Please pay attention.
3 tablespoons of vodka. Thank God I have this left over from 10A a couple of weeks ago.
Three tablespoons of vodka.
So once you got that all mixed in there, you're going to just beat it together. So we're going to set a little bit of this aside for later. I'm going to take a separate container and just pour a little bit out. And we're going to keep a little bit here. So in this, we're going to mix in, let's see, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and also a 1/4 tablespoon of baking soda. I'm sorry, a 1/4 teaspoon. Alright, and we're going to mix that all in there until it's smooth. So now we mix the chicken in with the marinade. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that into this dish, just because I got a lot of chicken here. We're going to take all our 1-inch chicken pieces, put them right in there, and mix it right around. Make sure that all of the chicken gets coated. Once that's all coated, we're going to throw a cover on there, and it's going to get set aside for about 20 minutes. Alright, so we're going to take just a small dish like this. We're going to mix up the breading mixture for the chicken. So it's going to be 1 cup of flour. One cup of cornstarch. Alright, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Just a teaspoon. One teaspoon of salt. So next we're going to take that marinade that we had set aside from before, and that's going to get mixed in there. And then you're going to mix it all together. What you're going to be looking for is little tiny clumps in the breading. Make sure that there's not any just wet spots of the marinade in there. Alright, so once our breading is all mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, and then we're going to get working on the sauce. So now we're going to work on the sauce. Four tablespoons of soy sauce. 4 tablespoons of sake.
What sake is that?
Cooking sake.
Oh.
3 tablespoons of rice vinegar. 4 tablespoons of chicken stock. A 1/4 cup of sugar. One teaspoon of sesame oil. And we'll finish that off with 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And we're going to whisk that together until it's smooth. So our next step is going to be to chop some green onions. So I've gone ahead and peeled some garlic cloves. We're going to be grating that in a little bit. I also have ginger root here. So we're going to go ahead and just take the skin off of that. You're going to need about 2 to 3 inches of it. And you just want to make sure that all the outer skin is off. And that's going to get grated in also. Perfect. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and grate the garlic and the ginger in preparation for actually moving over to the stove. Yeah, you get that in there as best you can. And then afterwards, just make sure you scrape off the bottom because there's going to be a lot still stuck to it. So if you're using just a cheese grater, use the smaller side, obviously. I think they even make ones that are smaller than this, but you can just take your knife and scrape what's left on the bottom into your bowl. Go ahead and grate the ginger root. So we'll go ahead and just scrape off what's on there. Enough. We're going to go ahead and give our sauce one more whisk through. Just make sure everything's all nice and broken up in there. We're going to go ahead and heat the wok up. So let the wok heat up a little bit. We're going to add in some vegetable oil. And then we're going to saute the garlic and the ginger and everything. Alright, so I've gone ahead and added our oil into the wok. We're going to mix in our green onion, our garlic, and our ginger. Let that saute for a couple of minutes. One thing I don't have yet is one of those fancy wok spoons. We'll just saute everything around real quick. Now we're going to mix in the sauce, and we're going to let that cook until it thickens. Now if you want to, you could add arbol chilies to this as well. Unfortunately, they didn't have any at the store today, so I'm out of luck there. So we're going to go ahead and let this thicken, and then we'll get back to the chicken. So you can see this has been cooking down for a couple of minutes now. and it's really starting to thicken up compared to how it was before. So once it's thickened up to how we want it, we're going to take it off the heat, and then we're going to, like I said before, get into the chicken. So now we're going to go ahead and heat up some more oil. We're going to use just a regular frying pan. You're going to want, give or take, a quart of vegetable oil. I've gone ahead and removed the wok from the heat. We'll set that aside until we get the chicken all ready. So this is about 1.5 quarts in here, so I figure that's about a quart, give or take a little bit, whatever. We'll go ahead and get the oil heating up. You're going to want it to be about 350 to 375. I'm also going to preheat my oven and just put it down as low as it'll go. Reason being, we're not going to be able to cook all the chicken at once. So we're not going to be able to cook all the chicken at once in the frying pan. So what I'm going to do is put it on a dish in the oven, keep it warm up until the point that it's all fried, and then we'll be ready to cook it in with the sauce. So while I'm waiting for the oil to heat up, I'm just working on cleaning up some of the other stuff I've used. So I'm not going to use it again. That'll kind of cut down on my cleanup time at the end of this. Alright, so we've got our oil up to temperature. We're ready to start frying our chicken. So what we're going to do first is take the chicken that's been here marinating. Each individual piece is going to get dipped in our breading. Make sure it gets a good coating. And it'll go onto a plate. I'll take a few of them here. Alright, so we've got our chicken all breaded. We're going to go ahead and start putting it one by one into the oil. I'm going to leave it in there for about 3-4 minutes each piece. Just place them in there one by one. You don't want to crowd them in the pan. We're going to do probably about a dozen at a time. Then they'll come out, they'll go over here into the oven to sit there and stay warm. And then we finally get to put sauce on them. Alright, so we've gone ahead and pulled the chicken out. Some of it got a little bit overcooked. The oil was a little bit hot, so it took longer to cook on the inside than it did on the outside. But we won't really worry about that. So I'm just throwing the sauce back onto the heat. I got it on low heat just to keep it warm. We're just going to go ahead and mix the chicken right into it. Just going to try to evenly coat all the chicken in the sauce. Stir it around. We're just going to keep mixing it up in the wok until all the chicken has a good layer of sauce on the outside of it. And then we'll go ahead and serve. I also threw on a pot of rice to simmer. You can serve the chicken over the rice if you like to. Alright, here we are. Dinner is served. So what do you guys think?
Fuck yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Very flavorful.
What's that word?
So as always, guys, thank you for tuning in for Cooking with Ty. If you guys try this at home, it actually turned out being pretty simple. It's just a little time consuming. You got a lot of prep work. But I'm not disappointed with it at all. Check out in the description. There's a link to my Patreon if you'd like to support the show. And tune in next week. We'll see what we're making.